Welcome back to the Nashville Soundscape Archive. Today, I'm here with Mr. Rick Rodriguez. Hi, Rick. Thank you so much for agreeing to this interview. And before I, kick off with my barrage of questions, could you tell us a little bit more about yourself? Like, what do you do in Nashville? What's your connection to this whole music city thing? Just talk us through that.
Yeah, hi guys. My name is Rick Rodriguez. I am the founder of La Cara Productions. Basically, in Spanish, that's just translates into the face. Our company is the bridge between the music industry, Music Row, and the LATAM world, which is Latin American music, culture, entertainment, all things Latin America. We build a bridge between the business and the Spanish-speaking territories and communities. I founded La Cara Productions about 15 years ago. With the intention of being the face, the Latino face in the predominantly Anglo business here in Nashville. Our company, our services are music management, artist development. We do live show production and consulting. So I am currently a consultant for the Music Licensing Collective, the MLC. And I help them not only with their royalty department, but also with their missing members department. I help them find art or composers that haven't gotten paid through their digital platforms, like all the DSPs, who are in the Latin world. Mostly, a lot of these artists are Spanish-speaking artists that don't know how to register their songs or how to deal with a lot of the publishing aspect of this part of the business, so I help them by consulting for them and finding these artists.
So my first question is, through Cara De La Música, you are building a bridge between the Nashville music business and the Spanish-speaking audience. Do you find that the established commercial country music industry is receptive to this integration?
I think that with time, it's become a little bit it's gotten a lot more attention. The Latin scene or the Latino creators or artists in the commercial country world, it hasn't been very easy for them, but I think that for the past 25 years that I have lived in Nashville, I've seen, let's say in the past maybe 6 years, a little bit more of a push from the commercial countryside. I feel like we are, I don't have a better word, but say it's a little more accepted to be a Latino in the country world. And it isn't something that just happened, it's something that happens in waves, because the Latin community or artists have always been present some way, somehow in country music, especially commercial country music, with artists like Freddie Fender and Johnny Rodriguez, Emilio Nalaida, or Raul Malo and the Mavericks. These are artists that are, have always represented their Latin culture and heritage in country music, but it hasn't been very predominant. So I do feel like it comes in waves. Like the commercial country world shows interest in the Latin community or the demographic in spurts. But as of late, I feel like they've been more intentional in representing and showcasing artists from the Latin culture. So that's a good thing. So it hasn't been easy. They haven't always cared, but it's mattered.
So I just have like a super short follow-up. So you mentioned you came here 25 years ago?
Correct.
What was it like back then? Like the entire United States with Latino music, was the entire U.S. more suppressive? Was Nashville more supportive? Just could you talk us through that?
Funny enough, man, 25 years ago, this goes back to what I just said, where the Latin creators, there's a wave that comes every so often. And back then, I came here from Texas. I'm originally from, I'm a border town kid. I'm from the Texas-Mexican border. I grew up in a small town called Los Fresnos, Texas, out in the Rio Grande Valley, which is the southmost point of Texas. And back then, I got here in 2000 to go to school at MTSU, and I seriously was one of like a handful of Latinos in the scene. around 2001, I was running the streets of Nashville in the music scene and trying to find where the Latin music was, and there was a very small pocket of that happening with guys like Giovanni Rodriguez and artists like Rachel Rodriguez and myself. We were out there trying to get the Latin scene going, but overall in that country during that time was something had just happened that the music business called the Latin explosion. And it was like 99 or 2000 when Ricky Martin took the stage at the Grammys and made a big, had a great performance, and it just like blew the lid, and Latino music started just flowing through the music business like it is today. Here we are in 2026 and we're seeing it, but now it's like more Mexican regional and artists that are doing new styles of music or combining the Mexican regional they grew up with and mixing it with like R&B and hip hop and trap music, and they've created this new sound called corridos tumbados. So back then it was kind of happening in a global sense, but in Nashville itself there wasn't really a whole lot of action in the Latin world. So while the entire world was bopping to the new artists from Latin America that were like Shakira and Ricky Martin and Enrique Iglesias and so many others, here in Nashville, they were trying to jump on the bandwagon as well, and they were signing artists from the Latino world, like Emilio Navaira and Rick Trevino and many other artists that were being brought into Nashville. So there was a little bit of interest, but I think that my problem, or not, the one problem that I've noticed in Nashville and commercial country music is that when they do bring in those creators or the new artists from the Latin world, there isn't a whole lot of personnel that can handle that particular artist and put them on a level or on a scale where they can shine as much as your typical commercial country artists. So yes, it's happening, but again, there's a lot of work to be done, and it's not a complaint, it's just an observation, because I've been here for 25 years, and you compare what we were talking about in 2000 and compare it to what we're talking about in 2026, it's like we're talking about the same points. So although there has been some progress, and although globally everybody's listening to Bad Bunny, in Nashville the Latin scene is still, it's kind of trucking along, and it's trying to find some traction and get more of a spotlight. So I think Nashville is just a different monster, it works different.
So my next question is, as a producer documenting the Latino community's impact on Nashville's entertainment industry, how do you balance showcasing artists who maintain traditional cultural roots versus those who are actively assimilating into the broader Music City commercial sound?
I think that they go hand in hand. In order to play the game, you have to be on the same field. And I see a lot of artists coming in, like I said, unlike even 10 years ago, we have way more creators that are coming in from Latin America. Some of these artists and creators don't even speak English, but they're phenomenal artists and they have phenomenal talent. So when they come to Nashville, they don't really know how to assimilate. They don't know which way to go, or what avenues to take while they're chasing this American, or not even just American music dream, just the dream of blowing up in the music scene. So what I've found so let's circle back. I've created a TV show. I have a series of music industry mixers every other month that focus on spotlighting the Latino talent in the music business. So every other month, we have the La Cara Productions Music Industry Mixer that's open to everybody, and with that we're bringing different cultures, different sounds, different demographics and communities and ideas into a space where we can mix it up and see what happens. And we've had some really magical things happen. So while some of the artists are coming in and trying to assimilate into the commercial country world, others are just coming in trying to get a foot into the world of the music business. So my job is to ensure that we're putting a spotlight and showcasing both avenues in one space. So the artist that's coming in from, let's say, Texas or the West Coast or the East Coast that is coming into Nashville, that is of Latin heritage, that wants to highlight a little bit of their sound and their culture and bring it into the country music space, we want to spotlight that artist. But we also want to spotlight the artist and the creator that comes in from out of the country even, that just wants to play music and just wants to end up on a band roster or wants to end up touring or wants to be the main act in spaces where they normally aren't considered, headliners. So what I'm doing with all of this information when I'm bringing everybody into one space is I'm creating a TV show for Univision Nashville called Cara De La Música, which means the face of music. And that is how we are making sure that we're highlighting all the people that represent our community, not just the ones that are chasing the country dream or not just the ones that are only in the Spanish-speaking world. Because at the end of the day, we have to make sure that although we have to come to Nashville and assimilate because the business is run a certain way, we still, all of us, for the most part, want to stay connected to our roots, to our culture, without all the way just selling out to one thing. And that's how I preserve that, by showcasing it and letting people know, hey, this is happening. Not everybody that comes to Nashville wants to be doing country music. They want to just come to Music City.
I think that's amazing. Yeah, that you're able to do that for people,
Yep.
and that you don't let people just get kind of muffled out by everyone chasing this country music dream because they believe that's the only way to fame out here. So I really do think that's amazing.
Like the scene here now is it's way different. Like I said, in 2001, there was a handful of artists. There was a small niche market of Latin music, and it was mostly jazz and it was mostly Latin jazz projects. And every once in a while, you'd get somebody to throw in maybe like a Latin rock vibe, like maybe some Santana or some Maná or some. But it was very, very little. Nowadays, hell, yesterday I saw that there was a big Latin rock show in town. So that kind of stuff wasn't happening back then. But again, to go back to what you were saying, it's like not everybody comes to Nashville. Not every Latino that comes to Nashville wants to do country music. A lot of them do, but it is very important that we let the world know, especially in my community, the Spanish-speaking community, let them know that there is a space. There are spaces and pockets and different areas in the music business that they might not know about, and our job is to bring that insight to let them know, like, hey, maybe you came here with the expectation of doing this, but did you know that there are also all of these other avenues in the music business, sometimes behind the scenes? So part of our programming, our TV show, Cara De La Música, is to ensure that we're bringing that professional insight to the community that may not be aware. Just we're raising awareness, but we're also spotlighting our talent.
You believe supporting local music is crucial to preserving Nashville's culture. With the rapid gentrification and demographic shifts happening across Middle Tennessee, what is the biggest structural or spatial threat to the physical venues that the Latino community relies on?
I think the biggest threat all around, not just in the Latin world, but just the local venue scene, is the bigger corporations coming in and taking those spaces that mean so much to this town, to this city. When you have a big corporation like a conglomerate like Live Nation coming in and taking over these spaces that have so much community value, to the local community, it's something that was there forever, and now all of a sudden go into a place like, let's say, like an Exit Inn that used to be the Rock Block, it just doesn't feel the same. So if it's happening, if we're losing our spaces in the Anglo market, I mean, we barely have any in the Latin world, to be honest. I mean, you can count like maybe on two hands or less, two hands, how many Latin local venues that we have. I feel that we are losing venues just all around. So if it's hurting the Anglo market, it's really, really hurting the Latin market. We used to have maybe 3 clubs. Now there are maybe 2, if any, and one that is considered an actual club, and the other ones are just like turned into clubs at certain times of the night. So yeah, with the way that development is coming into the city, we're losing a lot of things, and a lot of the charm, and a lot of the beautiful spaces that represented the different communities of this town, from East Nashville to Midtown to down here in the South, man. It's a little bit difficult to fight that stream. We're against the stream, man, because development's coming into town and it's just wiping parts of the city out that the town doesn't look the same anymore. And development's cool, but when they get rid of these venues, and specifically our Latin venues, that we're losing even because of things like this crazy stuff going on with ICE and the political climate. We're having it's become really hard. Sometimes people that are legal aren't even wanting to come out. I mean, I see it in my own family. My parents are here legally, but they have this. Somebody has instilled, or this whole climate has instilled this fear in them that they didn't have before, where they were just free to roam around the country because they were here legally. And now there's a scare where some artists aren't even going out to perform because they are afraid they might get picked up by ICE. So it's crazy. Yeah, so it's my job to ensure that while these negative things are happening, that I am making sure that our community can see the positive things and bring some light into the darkness.
So your work operates on the belief that music is one of the best resources to bring people from different backgrounds together. In the absence of dedicated physical spaces, how do you see the role of television and media shaping the overall sonic borders of a rapidly changing city?
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I just mentioned the ICE raids that happened that came and just, they shook our city and our community up.
Yeah, it's bad.
I have this series of mixers, the music industry mixers that we do every other month, that are specifically, it's the only mixer that happens that is bilingual. It's both English and Spanish, because I want to make sure that the creator or the artist that's coming in from outside of Tennessee or outside the country and wants to be part of this music ecosystem, I want them to have the same opportunity as everybody else. And the fact that they don't speak English shouldn't be, it shouldn't be a roadblock. In fact, what we do with these mixers is that everything that's said in English must be said in Spanish, so that specifically those people that don't speak English get the same insight from professionals in the business. And with that said, I came up with the idea of creating this TV show that is the same exact concept of the mixers, where we are bringing music industry insight, and now this is going to become a bilingual show that's the reverse. So everything that's said in Spanish will be said in English, because even though this show will be airing on a Spanish-speaking network, I want my friends that don't speak Spanish to be able to watch the show and watch themselves on TV. And the same thing happens at the mixers. I want everybody that comes to the mixer that doesn't speak English to understand and get the same insight and opportunities as everybody else. So we created a TV show with that in mind, to highlight and spotlight our creators, but also that whole ICE raid and that crazy political environment, with all that negativity that was coming from it. I felt that these creators that I had made these mixers for weren't able to come because they were afraid to leave their home. So in order to combat that, how do we combat that, is that we just find another way, we find another avenue. We created this TV show to now say, you know what, if you can't make the mixer, now we're going to bring the mixer to you, and we're going to bring it to the comfort of your home, where you're safe, where you don't have to worry about, well, if I go to this mixer, what if along the way or on the way back I get picked up? And you could be here legally, but the cards are always going to be against you in the situation that we're in right now. And rather than gripe about it, we find a solution. And my solution to reach that specific demographic, which is my Latino community, was to bring this insight to them to prevent them from hitting the streets and having that fear.
Wow. So you're trying to, bring light to all these people who are just too scared to come out. And I do agree this is a very, very bad time right now to be a Latin musician, or really,
An immigrant. It's bad.
Yeah.
It's so hard to be an immigrant in this town right now. And it wasn't always like this, but it's just the political climate. And I get it, man, these things happen every so often, but I feel like now more than ever in my entire tenure here at Tennessee, or in Nashville, I've been here 26 years, it's never been this bad. There have been moments and waves that come and go where things are a little shaky, and there's always been an issue with immigration, but now just being an immigrant in general is reason enough to get pulled over. Like, it's insane. It's so backwards, but we combat that with love. We spread love, and we don't give up on our community. And even as the climate is bad and as we're losing spaces, I have a friend, Manuel Delgado, who owns Music Makers Stage, and he has a beautiful history as a luthier. His family started building guitars like in the 20s, and he is the first Latino business that started in East Nashville in the music scene. He had Delgado Guitars. And one thing that he said one day at one of our mixers was that we are the mindset that if there isn't a space for us, or there isn't a physical venue that is going to be inviting enough, or that is specifically for our people, that we create it. And I could relate to that, because this is why I created my TV show. I wanted to make sure that if there isn't a TV show about our community, about the good things we're doing, about the change that we're bringing to the city, that how our culture and our music is making Music City even better, then we're going to create it. And that's what we did. So we, as Latinos, I think as immigrants, man, we're fighters. So just bring it on. We're going to find a way to get around it. And the tougher you make it, the tougher you make us. And that's the way I see it.
In ethnomusicology, researchers often focus so heavily on the performers that they ignore the invisible architects of a city soundscape, the producers, the organizers, and the broadcasters. As someone who controls the literal lens and the signal for the local Latino music scene, how do you navigate that immense power you hold in dictating which sounds become part of Nashville's cultural record and which ones remain undocumented?
I think that you always have to, it's very important that you highlight the best of the best. I know I work in all genres of music. My expertise is in the Latin world. I'm all things Latino. I'm the guy you call in this city if you want to connect with the Latin world, whether it be in Nashville, whether it be across the country, whether it be in South America. So I am that guy. I build that bridge between the music business here in Nashville and the entire world. And the best way to highlight our talent is to pick the best of the best. So in saying that I represent the Latin world, I'm not going to just spotlight or highlight somebody because they're Latino. Because my job is to ensure that our culture is highly respected and that it is seen as a player with merit on the field. We don't just want to be like playing the demographic card. I don't want to just spotlight a Latino because they're Latino, and they might not be the best artist or the best singer or the best musician, but they're Latino, so we should give them a chance. No, I think that part of my job is to ensure that if you aren't at that level that's up to par with what the music business needs, that my job is to try to give you some guidance, some insight, resources for you to educate yourself to get to that point. So it's very important that we highlight the best in the community. The other part, what was it? How do we ensure? I know you said something really important. I want to make sure I touch on.
How do you navigate the power you hold in dictating which sounds become part of Nashville's cultural record and which ones remain undocumented?
I think the ones that remain undocumented are the ones that aren't specifically the best. I think we still give them a space, but you want to document the best of the best, because in the future, when the future generations come back and check out the music that we put or that we supported, I want them to see
the best
themselves in that too. Because if you're the best 20 years from now, you're gonna look at this 20 years ago and be like, man, that sounds just like what I'm doing, or I can relate to that, or that is something that could stay. Music, to me, aside from like obviously the lyrics have to be top notch, but also the musicianship has to be the best. This is Music City. You could throw a rock and hit a phenomenal guitar player. So you can't just come into Music City thinking that, oh, I'm a guitar player and I'm the best. So I don't see it like that when I'm scouting talent. I'm like, well, you are pretty good, but I think you've got a little bit of developing to get done, and there's nothing wrong with that. So we want to spotlight the best in our community so that it stands out and it's competitive. And the stuff that doesn't get documented is just, it's not because it doesn't deserve attention. It's just that when you want to, I mean, dude, you're not going to take Team B to go play the Super Bowl. You're going to take your starters. And that's the way it is in the music business. So going back to what I was saying, the fact that you're Latino is not the reason I'm going to push you up to the forefront of the scene. You have to be at a level that's up to par with what the scene is looking for. Because if we don't do that, we are going to lose respect. They won't respect us enough to say like, well, yeah, they're just Latino. What? That's the only reason they made it. Other than that, they kind of suck. They're not the best. And there's a lot of talent in this town. So we showcase and document the best that we can provide, so that 20 years from now, whoever was being highlighted today is no different than 20 years ago when we were seeing the Mavericks shine and representing the Latino community, or seeing Freddie Fender representing the Latino community, or guys like Emilio Navaida or Selena. Selena didn't get attention because she was okay. She was the best at what she did, and here we are. Over 20 years later, we're still listening to her legendary music. And the same thing with all the other artists. Like the Mavericks are still around. We just recently lost my good friend Raul Malo, who was one of my personal heroes in the music scene as a Latino. And what we do is we want to make sure that this era documents the best of what was happening in town now, and not just giving spaces to people because, oh, they're Latinos. It's like, well, that's cool. You should hang with us. But the big stages and the documenting go to the best of the best that represent our community. It's like the Olympics, man. You want to send the best representative.
So a soundscape is defined just as much by the infrastructure that supports it as the artist who plays in it. With gentrification, again, I mention this again because it's so prevalent nowadays, with gentrification physically erasing local venues and displacing communities, how do you view your television production as building a sort of digital sanctuary, a way to permanently preserve the community's sonic identity, even when their physical spaces are compromised?
Well, yeah, we take the product straight to the person. We take it straight to their...
Cut out the middle?
Yeah, we just cut out everybody. It goes back to trailblazing, man. If there isn't a trail for us, we're going to create it. And from that path, hopefully other people will follow my lead and build on that, which is what I did when I came to Nashville. Somebody else built the foundation so that when I got to Nashville, I wasn't feeling like I had to build the foundation from the ground up. There was a foundation that maybe hadn't been tended to, but then came Rick Rodriguez to say, you know what? Freddie Fender left something for us. Linda Ronstadt, Emilio Navaida, Selena, and Raul Malo, they left the whole foundation. And the fact that nobody's been tending to it doesn't mean that it's gone. Let's go clean that up and let's build from it. And that's what I want the future generations to see with the TV show. We're basically saying we're bringing programming to the comfort of your home so that when you see this, you can see yourselves and you can dream a little bit bigger and go chase it. Obviously, you're going to evade all the craziness that's going on with ICE right now, but it shouldn't stop you from chasing your dream, and it shouldn't keep you from dreaming. If my TV show, if some kid in high school or somebody that just came in, you know, a professional musician doesn't know where to go, turns on my TV show and finds some insight, it gives them some drive, and it gives them direction, then we're winning. One person is all it takes. If we can change one life with this TV show, and all I'm doing is bringing programming to the comfort of your home where you don't even have to leave, if that TV show can sprout an idea, and if it could give you some hope, and it could give you some drive to say, you know what, I want to do that. I didn't know I could do that, but I know that now that I see these dudes on TV, or I see these people that are explaining it to me this way, I can chase a dream. We want people to be able to dream, and that's what this is for. That's what I'm doing. I want to provide a product that requires no effort other than clicking on your TV at a certain hour, checking us out, and we want to bring you hope, man. And all we're doing is we're spreading love, man, because it's tough times right now. So we're spreading love, and we're trying to build community and elevate community. And if I can change one life, I'll be happy. If somebody one day says, man, you know what, I got into the music business because a long time ago I saw this crazy dude with shades on TV on the show called Cara De La Música, and that gave me hope, and now here I am performing in front of thousands of people, or now I have a job in the music industry, then so be it, we won. And we beat whatever negative vibe is around us. Like, that one person is going to be the one that says, that made sure this thing mattered.
So my final question is, by placing this interview into a permanent archive, we are cementing your perspective into the city's historical record. Decades from now, what is the absolute most important truth you want historians to understand about the infrastructure, the survival, and cultural impact of the Latino music scene in this specific era of Nashville?
Wow, that's deep, man. That's deep because, wow, it touches me, so I'm sorry. Because the whole reason I'm doing this is, like I said, is I want there to be some point of reference when we look at this maybe 20 years from now and there's a booming Latin scene coming out of Nashville. I want people to be able to come back and see the work that I did in order to make that happen. I mean, I'm not saying I'm the one that's going to make it happen alone, but the one brick that I put on the path, or the one brick that I put on the wall that helped build that wall, I want people to know that was an important brick. That was a more important piece that wasn't there. So years from now, I want Nashville to know that Rick Rodriguez and La Cara Productions did, we did our due diligence to ensure that those that came before us and laid out the foundation and the groundwork for future Latino generations. I want the city to know that we came to unearth that foundation that nobody had tended to, and we started building brick by brick and by brick, and we're building something that is going to end up being the Latin scene in the future. And as the infrastructure wasn't really, the groundwork was laid out. The infrastructure is the work that La Cara Productions and Rick Rodriguez and a few other of my friends that we have created, and we have built upon that. So it's important that decades from now, the city knows that I wasn't the first. I just came to unearth what was already there that nobody had actually built upon, and we started building on that. When Freddie Fender came around, he started paving the path. Guys like Rick Trevino and Los Lobos and Linda Ronstadt and Raul Malo, more than anybody else. Raul Malo is the guy I consider the godfather of the Latin scene here in town. I want the people to know that their work is the reason that I was able to do what I'm doing now. And hopefully years from now, people are able to create more advancement and do better things than what I did, and have bigger opportunities than the ones that I had, thanks to the people that came before me. I want the city to know that there was some interest in our community, although it wasn't really heavy. It wasn't at the top of the list, but we appreciate that, you know, the city and the music scene really cared about the Latin community, for whatever reason it may be. We appreciate that, and we're doing our due diligence to keep working harder to get us to scale our presence, to make sure we have more representation, to make sure that you know, we have Latinos serving in positions of power, in executive spots where they can make decisions, and that's my goal. That's what I hope that years from now people remember. Like, okay, the work that Rick Rodriguez did with La Cara Productions is what helped continue on the work that those that came before me did, and it just made everybody else move a little bit faster, a little bit better, and you know, leave a smooth path for everybody, so they can elevate and grow and make sure that we are represented well by the best.
Thank you so much, Rick Rodriguez, for giving this interview and sharing your words and your stories and just your experience in Nashville and the music scene and all the work you've done. So thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
And thank you guys for watching. Yeah.